morning to everybody out there in YouTube land. It is another absolutely gorgeous day the good Lord has given us today. I've been driving just before the sun come up, and I am watching an absolutely beautiful sunrise in my rearview mirrors. It's going to be a beautiful day. Now, I got a phone call last night, and I heard that the Oklahoma FFA officers team was sitting around in a hotel room in Indianapolis at the National Convention watching my YouTube videos. Well, thank you. I have no idea why you would find a old truck driver like me that interesting, but it definitely put a spark in this old man's heart. So I want to give a shout out to the Oklahoma State FFA officer team and say thank you very much for all the things that you do for our great state. I actually thought I'd share a little story with you this morning. This was about 5 or 6 years ago. But the story actually took place about 25, 26 years ago. I was a jump master there in Goldsby, Oklahoma, at Paradise Parachute Center. My job was throwing students out of the side of an airplane at 10,000 feet and make sure that they did it safely and survived their experience. It was one early morning, not much different than this one. A little cool. As the sun was coming up, I'd walked into the break room to get my cup of coffee. There in the hangar of the jump center. My girlfriend at the time said, Phaser, she told me, she goes, hey Walt, we got a new jump pilot this morning. I said, really, where is he? She goes, he's standing right there behind you. And I turned around and looked, and all I could see is this tall, lanky kid standing there. And I turned back and I said, where's the jump pilot at? And she goes, that's him. And I turned around and grabbed him by the shoulders and picked him up off the ground. I said, this is a jump pilot? And she goes, that'd be the one. I said, dadgum, son, are you old enough to drive a car? Oh, he was so young and went behind years. It was hard to believe that he was old enough to even be a pilot. And he was all like, yes, sir, yes, sir. And I'm like, man, you don't have to call me sir. You can tell he was a little scared, and he was definitely out of his element. He had never flown jumpers before. I don't think he'd ever been around a jump operation until it came to that morning. We flew 8 loads of jumpers that day. I was the jump master on his aircraft, and the OD put me on his aircraft to not only coach my students, but also to coach a first-time pilot. And he was pretty shaky. Understandably so. Most pilots have never been in an aircraft with the door open. Most pilots haven't flown an aircraft with people crawling around on the outside of their airplane. A lot of pilots haven't flown basically doing a bomb run in a highly congested air traffic area. These are all extremely high stress situations. As I say, as a pilot, if you can fly jumpers, you can fly anything. Well, it was at the end of the day. Before I get to the end of the day, I'll let Yuri tell the story at the end of the day. 20 years later, at our 20-year reunion, where we're all sitting around having a steak dinner and drinking a beer, and toasted each and every one of us for the different things that we did for each other. And Yuri stood up and he said, I would like to give a toast to Walt Vandenberg. Me. I had no idea what in the world would Yuri be giving a toast to me for. Yuri said, he goes, y'all may not know this. He goes, but I remember my first day as a jump pilot. He goes, it was at the end of the day. Y'all were packing your parachutes in the hangar, drinking beer. The sun had gone down. He goes, I had never been so scared in my life. He goes, that evening in the locker room, I was packing all my flight gear into my flight box. He goes, I was walking across the parking lot. He goes, this was my last day as a pilot. I was never, ever gonna fly again. He goes, it just scared me. He goes, and out of the darkness, Walt Vandenberg got up and come out of the hangar, walked across the parking lot. He said, hey, jump pilot, come here. I walked up and I shook his hand and I said, son, I know I gave you a hard time at the first of the day, but you did an outstanding job. For your first day, you're one of the best I've ever seen. You, young man, are a great pilot. And I'd be happy to fly with you on any given day. And Yuri said that's where he gave his toast, because on that day was his lowest moment. The day that he wanted to give up. And the fact that a jump master walked out and shook his hand and said thank you was the inspiration that he needed to come back the next day. You have no idea the little things that you do that inspires others. The one little helping hand, the one little word of kindness that you can give somebody else today can change their life. You want to know who Yuri is today? Yuri is the owner of Flight Training Services at Jones Airport in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He teaches commercial pilots how to do their job from all around the world. He's known as one of the very, very best. You know, folks, it doesn't matter if you're a 19-year-old Marine carrying a rifle in a foreign country. It doesn't matter if you're a 32-year-old jump master in a skydiving operation. And it doesn't matter if you're a 56-year-old truck driver hauling a load of corn across the United States. Where you're going to find your greatness when you look back at your life is those moments that you inspired, gave a kind word, and a little inspiration to those around you. Because look around in the room with you right now. I don't care what task you're on, more than half of you aren't going to make it to the prize, to the end of the destination. Make sure that when you look back in your life, that you realize that not only did you achieve the goal, but you helped others along the way. Well, that's my little words of inspiration today. Big shout out to you, officer team from FFA, state of Oklahoma. God bless each and every one of you. Y'all inspire me. One of my fondest memories. I've never been to a national convention, but I've I've been to the Oklahoma State FFA convention, and that is a sign of greatness. What you kids do, it's a beautiful thing. Well, God bless each and every one of y'all, and y'all have a beautiful day. And we'll catch y'all on the back haul. Bye-bye.